here's the first question. Is wholesaling real estate illegal? I think since you've been wholesaling, they've been telling you that wholesaling is about to become illegal, right?
Honestly, since 2003, this has been shoved down my mouth. Honestly, like actively 2003, 4, 5, 6. Oh my God. I thought the world was going to melt over wholesaling. And then you guys kind of know what happened after that. We had a market meltdown, mostly on the mortgage subprime. And then I didn't hear anything about it for 8, 9, 10 years. And here we are again. Maybe it's a good predicator for what maybe might happen to the real estate market. And by the way, I don't know. I'm along the ride for the rest of you guys. And any guru who tells you exactly this is what's going to happen, like Mr. Kiyosaki, that for 9 years has predicted a crash of the real estate market, he's been wrong for 9 years. The 1 year he'll be right. He assumes you all will remember him for being right. But yeah, what is the word illegal mean? Like,
it's funny.
I find this a lot with real estate agents and brokers. They'll use the word, well, that's illegal. I'm like, no, that's an MLS rule. And if you violate it, then you're subject to the fines and board review. I'm not part of the MLS, so it's not illegal. It's just I'm breaking one of your rules. So
yeah, it's crazy. So guys, wholesaling fundamentally is something that has been done ever since the United States was a country. Actually, the ability to write contracts for things and the right as us on the right for us as United States citizens has always been there for us to write contracts and sell contracts. And what we do in wholesaling is sell our equitable interest in a contract.
Yeah,
it is a fundamental right in the Constitution. Now, sure. I have it right here too, but
go ahead.
Don't you believe in the Constitution?
100%.
I love the Constitution. I have been to the National Archives. I've read the Bill of Rights. I've read the Declaration of Independence. I've read the Constitution front and back. And not a lot of people read it. I've read it through and through. And I can tell you right now, we have a right as United States citizens to have this. And I hate to say this, I really do, but in college, I did have to write something in a business law class. This guy, he got his Juris Doctor from Harvard, whatever he was. He was the big shot professor. He made us read hours of this contract, how contracts work in the United States and all the laws and code on it. And something that's always gotten my mind is the contract clause in the Constitution. And this really brings back to wholesaling. And no one in wholesaling real estate ever talks about the contract clause in the Constitution. But let's go here. So this is Cornell Law School. And this is basically Article 1, Section 10, C.1 of the Constitution. And I don't want to get too confusing for you, but let me just kind of break down how the Constitution pretty much, I know lawyers going to eat my lunch on this, but I don't really care. But pretty much we do have rights as citizens. So basically it states, no state, right, or country shall enter into a treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters or marquee reprisal, coin money, emit bill of credit, make anything but gold, silver, coin, tender, and payment of debts, pass any bill, ex pasto law, or law. See, this stuff's, it doesn't matter, but here's the most important part, or law impairing the obligation of contracts or grant any nobility. Pretty much it provides that no state may pass a law impairing the obligation of contracts, and a law in the context may be a statute, constitutional provision, municipal ordinance, having the force or operation of the statute. Pretty much to a point, if I go back here, you really read it. This concept makes it, but basically, if you really quote it from you got articles from the Business Professor and stuff, but pretty much no state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. To a point, I could say this a million ways, but no state, no government in the United States can really oppose your obligation and your right to create contracts in the United States. This is how common law works. Even when we came back from England, we used their system. We as Americans have rights to create contracts, and the law, the court system, has a duty to enforce those contracts. And I'm telling you, unless you think that the whole lobby in the United States, lawyers, people that make money off of the legal system, contracts will always be a thing. And it is clearly in the Constitution that Americans can always write contracts, right?
Yeah.
We have a right to create contracts. And so this is why you're not going to see many laws about contracts. Even the law in Illinois never talked about it did talk about contracts to a point, but it never stopped people from creating contracts. They force the person who writes the contract to do certain things sometimes, but really they're not going to. You can legally pretty much never ban wholesaling, because wholesaling real estate is the process of us creating contracts and selling that contract.
Yeah. So the challenge is always is NAR wants everything to funnel through their system.
What's NAR?
National Association of Realtors.
We love our realtors, but
the Bluegrass put a good comment on there.
Right,
it's an organization, and listen, NAR makes its money by keeping members paying their dues. They could. Do you know most realtors are inactive or don't even sell a deal a year? So it becomes this. If you have everybody paying $1,500 dues, I don't know how many members they have. They have some.
Yeah, they're all businesses, and they're all lobbying, and they all want you to become a realtor or do anything. But here's the thing: fundamentally, they can't ban you from wholesaling real estate. They really can't.
Correct. So the challenge is a lot of these things that are being put on the books haphazardly by politicians. The question is, are they really enforceable? Because based on the United States Constitution, it's clearly written they cannot interfere with your contractual rights.
Here's the thing. I love this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I just brought the contract clause of the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
I have not one documented case, and I would love to find something where someone has gone to jail for wholesaling real estate or been fined more than $10,000, which it really does. I want to see somebody in Illinois get actually pursued for this, and then it fails in appeal court. These laws today are not being enforced because it's pretty much an enforceable law.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. You're not seeing anybody in Illinois being arrested or fined for this law because it's unconstitutional. And yes, if some prosecutor tries to fine me $50,000 for wholesaling real estate, you sure bet I'm going to bring that thing all the way to Supreme Court. And what do you think the Supreme Court's going to look at? The federal law surpasses the state law. And you've seen this on a lot of things. I'm not talking about anything recently in the past year because I don't want to get in the politics of that. But like a lot of the Supreme Court and federal courts look at what the actual Constitution states. And a lot of the, let's say, controversial Supreme Court rulings, we're not getting into it. I'm refusing to get into it. But those are off arbitrary terms, more or less. I think people know what I'm talking about. The Constitution clause is stated clearly, right? Yeah. People are like the Second Amendment, then they read it and then they're trying to interpret it. But the constitutional clause is pretty black and white. A state can't stop somebody from creating contracts. So to a point, if this ever gets appealed, it will get destroyed. And with the amount of money we're making in wholesaling, I would love to see someone try to enforce that. You're going to lose. Yeah.
So all this talk of at one point, everybody getting together and creating this protection thing. The only thing I would be in favor for, if they raised a fund, they had a neutral board, and then if somebody gets attacked in one of these states, that you take the money and go hire the baddest, toughest lawyer and beat it down. Because if you beat it once, you set precedents and case laws. And that would, in my opinion, would send a bigger message to the rest of the states.
Here's the problem. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
But somebody has to get in trouble for wholesaling, which it doesn't happen. It's not being enforced. If it was being enforced.
So let's talk about the people that do get in trouble. What do they actually get in trouble for?
The only people that get in trouble for wholesaling are people that are self-governed. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Let me explain this.
Go ahead.
So if let's say I'm 10 years old, right? And I didn't clean up my room. Mm-hmm. You can send me into my room and get me in trouble, right? And you're the court, the law, the dictator, right? It's your house. I've done that. That's self-governed. You kind of do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that's not like a government. I'm sorry, but that's your own rules, right? That's NAR. How you it's like NAR.
Yeah.
NAR is not the government.
Who's your daddy?
So the only people that are regulating wholesaling are people that are self-governed. It's like an HOA. They're not a real government. They're saying you have to cut your grass. You sort of have to because you're following their rules. If I'm outside the HOA, my grass has to be cut with code, but I can fly whatever flag I can do whatever I want. The only enforcement of wholesaling real estate illegality is with realtors, and the National Association of Realtors, and we love our realtors out here, but NAR, they have stopped the real estate boards because they're self-governed, have taken people's wholesaling fees away on a monthly basis. Pretty much, they are taking people's real estate assignment fees away because they didn't like the way the person did the deal. They did the deal legally, but the real estate board didn't really like it, so they just took the person's assignment fee. Right? Don't you agree? Didn't that happen?
Here's the problem: is wholesaling, depending on how you interpret it. So we talk about self-governing. So NAR has their own board. And guys, I'm not a realtor, but I do know they have a clause in there that says you have to look out for the seller's fiduciary. You have a fiduciary responsibility. Okay. The problem is that's interpreted by NAR, not by a court system or anything like that. And then, so let me ask you, you go out and get your real estate license. You can disclose till you turn blue. I don't care. Honestly, I think you confuse the heck out of people when you are a broker or an agent and you try to do wholesaling, because at any time that seller can come back and go, on that listing, on that contract, it said he had a fiduciary responsibility and he or she didn't live up to it. They got greedy and they bought the house themselves. Sign all the disclosures, everything you want to do. At some point, that's the problem you have with it. So if you're an agent and your fiduciary responsibility is to look out for the seller and their best financial interest, it doesn't say, are that the best terms? Is that the best way to sell it? And that's where wholesalers and realtors have this clash, because they're governed by a private entity that is in the interest of growing the Realtors Association and crushing the wholesaling industry. So you're never going to get them to collude. So that's why we get all this negative press on it. That's what I tell you guys. Listen, if you want to get your real estate license, go out. They're going to teach you to be a realtor. There's nothing in there that's going to teach you to be a wholesaler. And honestly, when you go and you think you're going to flip haps, you're just going to confuse your seller even more and more. I'm telling you guys, I've been doing this 20 years. I would have lost out on so many deals if I was a real estate agent. And so if you're a broker and say, Zach's a realtor, I can bring him in anytime and share in it and he'll do all the work, is the classic American business thing that we love. I'd rather him do all the work, all the showings, do everything, and give me some sort of marketing fee or action on it. So
it's crazy. So no, you can't be arrested, in trouble for wholesaling real estate. What I can tell you here, though, is there are laws. We're going to break down too how DNC works, the DNC list, telemarketing law. We're going to break that down. That's a little more different, right?
But we're going to talk about how you guys are getting this message that you need to get licensed to protect yourself.
You don't.
You don't. You actually, when you get a license, you open yourself up to such another door of liability. And if someone doesn't tell you that, they're not telling you the truth, because now it's clear as day. You are now responsible for all disclosures, because nothing's assumed anymore.
This is the best analogy to becoming a realtor for wholesaling. And I'm going to get in trouble for saying it, but
I'd like to say some stuff.
But here's the thing. It's like being in a fraternity. And this is what I mean. A fraternity can call you up at 4 a.m. And tell you that you have to get up and do the stupid little thing for initiation, right? And you kind of have to do it because you're in the fraternity, right?
Well, they threw a bag over my head.
Okay, we're not going to break that down. But like, you're in the fraternity, right? You have to do the rules.
You have to.
Now, if a fraternity calls me right now and says you got to get up at 4 a.m. and go, I don't know, run around and spray paint the rival fraternity, I'm going to say no. And they can't do anything to me. They can't say anything. But once you choose to be in the fraternity, you have to follow their rules.
You do.
Even if they're stupid.
But wait a minute. Somebody in the wholesaling business told me I'm going to get my license to protect me against that.
Wait, no. Let's use this analogy. Another one of your friends said that you should be in an fraternity to wholesale. Is he in the same fraternity?
Yeah.
Oh, is he going to make money if you're in the fraternity? Huh. That makes a lot of sense. See, I'm choosing an analogy. Wait. Let's change the word fraternity to be licensed. Every person that says for you to be licensed, they are licensed. Guys, have you ever met a vegan? They will tell you and try to convince you to become a vegan. Have you ever met a CrossFitter? They'll tell you got to do CrossFit.
Yeah.
Met someone that does Pilates? They'll tell you have to do Pilates. Guys, it's the same thing. When I talk to people, I tell them they should do wholesaling all the time. So like, guys, think of the reason why people are telling you to be licensed is because they're licensed too. I don't know many people that say you should be licensed for wholesaling that aren't licensed. Do you? I don't really see any. And it's shocking to me that people are just willy-nilly think, oh, I'm just get a license now. Guys, you're joining a fraternity that has stupid rules that's going to make you do crazy stuff.
And you're doing exactly what they want you. They want everyone to conform, because in the end, they just get the fees. They get more political power. They're one of the largest lobbying groups. And I'm here to tell you
they
guys,
have a bunch of antitrust legislation. They might get the axe.
that's why they've got in the state of Florida a 21-page contract. I don't know about you, but the people I buy homes from, they're not going through 21
But I will
pages.
say this. We are saying nothing mean about the National Association of Realtors. They are an independent organization. They can do whatever they want. I'm just not a fan of joining them.
It just
Yeah.
like it makes no sense. If you're joining it because it thinks it insulates you from wholesaling, it doesn't. It actually opens you up to a special small fraternity, sorority, whatever you're going to call, and they are going to pass judgment. And honestly, when you get assignment fees, sooner or later, they're going to call that probably commissions. And then you're going to be paying fees to the broker and everything else because they want to access the wholesale model.
Wait. Oh, we just got busted.
Uh-oh.
Don't you own a brokerage? Oh my gosh. This is blasphemy right now.
Uh-oh.
Guys,
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. One of the companies we have owns a brokerage. Guess what?
It only sells retail real estate
It's a
property.
business. And here's the thing.
And that's it. And that's all we do in it. And it makes money. But
I'll say this.
I don't mix it up with wholesaling at all.
Investing, credit, all that makes so much more money than the brokerage. And I'm telling you right now, even because we own a brokerage,
the brokerage works.
It's a different
for
business.
Us.
And it doesn't work for wholesaling. And we have acquisitions and managers that are licensed. I'm just telling, we are still, why do we do what we do? We're telling you the truth. Okay. Yes. If I told everybody they should join our brokerage to wholesale and we make a bunch of fees from them and then we get 1%, we'd make a ton of money from you. But we truly don't feel like that is best for what, like, we truly believe that's not what's best for you. And that's what we say. God, why do you think, like everyone says, you should use batch leads or PropStream? Guys, we say use both of them. Yeah. We don't care because we know it's kind of, your style, but we want what's best for you. I don't need your money. I don't need to make money off of you. So I'm not going to say it. I'm going to do what I truthfully believe in my heart of hearts, what's going to give you the best success possible as a beginner. And joining our brokerage, okay, I'm paying insurance, thousands of dollars, wasting time, and then doing all this hard work, maybe getting a $50,000 assignment fee. Are you ready? You ready? And then have the real estate board take that away from you.
Yeah.
Do you really think I, in my heart of hearts, believe that will be best for you? No. Okay.
And Jason, the reality is, if I thought that was the cure-all, I would give you all a link. I'd have you all join a brokerage. Listen, just because I own a brokerage, I don't operate, I don't touch anything. I actually pay full commissions for everything I sell because I do a lot of higher end property. I do other stuff. We do multi-million-dollar properties. They require realtors. There's no way around it. I'm telling you, for the average stuff us wholesalers buy.
Actually, the fact that we own a brokerage should show you more than enough that we don't want you to get licensed as a wholesale. Now, if you want to get into real estate, you want to make, $4 or $5 million home sales in Beverly Hills. Hey, join a brokerage. You're probably perfect for it. But if you want to make millions of dollars wholesaling real estate and not working your butt off like that.
Yeah. You know what the average margins of a brokerage is? It's like between 10 and 15%, guys. So when they tell you they sell hundreds of millions, the amount of advertising and costs, like the real brokerages, it costs money and they got to run them like businesses. And they have to have 30, 50, 100 agents to make them profitable because you have to have people managing and running those businesses. Guys, if I truly was just in the money grab and said, listen, I need to do this, there's a new thing out there and you guys need to be aware of it. EXP kind of started this.
I'm not going to
No, but what happens is they've taken the best of multi-level marketing and they've merged brokerages. And basically they've built a model whereas if I go out, I give you a link, you sign up, I earn a couple $100. And then you're encouraged to sign up 5 or more of your friends. You guys know how this works, right?
And I'll say this.
And they assume you're going to do nothing.
It's crazy.
And then how much better if you think that's going to protect you from the wholesaling umbrella, then people are signing up and doing that. And it's like, I get why they're doing it. I just don't think MLM belongs in real estate in that fashion because who does that ultimately benefit? Number one, the person that refers it. And number two, NAR. Everyone else basically gets screwed on it.
So let's break it down into our NFT offering now of $4,000, right? Are we selling wholesaling NFT now? Right?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? No.
We need
guys,
a whole other thing. Guys,
we're
listen,
not
if
gonna
you
get it.
truly want to understand how NFT works with real estate, don't listen to gurus. Don't listen to investors. Go down to your county property appraisers and your county tax collector. Ask them about it and ask them what their plans are incorporating it.
We're the only YouTube channel for wholesaling. This is the saddest part, that has not had a video on NFT and wholesaling, which is like
because listen, your county people and your
crazy.
state, they are not getting rid of their systems. If you guys think NFT is just going to replace everything, what do we do about the properties bought the last 100 years?
They will be used in real estate in the next 50 years of my lifetime. I can almost guarantee it. But I am not saying it's going to be happening in the next.
Guys, talk to your state officials and your county officials and see what their plans. And when you hear like we haven't even talked about it, stop worrying about NFTs like right now. It will be an added layer. And honestly, when the government figures out how to do it, we're all just going to pay more and go through more bureaucracy, in my opinion. So title has to be underwritten by a human being. There's no way a computer can completely do it unless it was done from day one. And guys, stuff can still be manipulated. You guys read about it all the time.
I'm telling you, with the NFT thing, it's
a
like,
great distraction.
Okay. It's like if you remember the 80s, it's like when Pong came out with the Atari and saying, you know what, your kids are going to be sitting behind one of these things and playing video games all day.
One of it. I was I had to go to all my friends.
But here's the thing. It's like being in 1983 and saying, you know what, in the next year, all the kids are going to be playing video games and doing all this on a computer. It's like, okay, we're 30 years away from that. Okay, let's chill out on that. So
I don't know how long away, but I'm just telling you, I stuck to state and county and they have no plans of incorporating any of that stuff in their current thing. And I'm telling you, it takes 5, 7, 10 years just to get policies and procedures in place. I don't see how you can do it. Maybe a brand new built house but what do we do about all the houses before? Because remember, blockchain's established that, okay, here's X amount and it's just done. Well, what do you do about stuff that's had 150 years history?
Yeah.
There's no way.
Steve wants to, Steve, bring us your opinion. I'd love to hear people's opinions on this.
Jump on the live.
We got some great opinions on this. I want to bring some really good points up. And if someone doesn't agree with me, I would love to say it. I would love for someone to come up here and say, you know what, Zach, you know what? It's actually a good idea to be governed harder, because we love the government. We want more. I always tell you, right? I every time before our lives, I say, you know what? I wish there was more government that could tell me, that will give me more rules so I can follow it. I love following rules. But
he's not feeling good.
But here's the thing. I would love for someone to give me the argument that, we should be governed harder from people that aren't actually doing real laws without the Constitution. And whatever that person feels like it, they should tell me what to do with my own personal business. No. Okay, guys, you should follow the laws in your state, in your county, and your country, and the Constitution. You should follow the Constitution. You definitely should. Okay. No stealing, none of this spaz, but outside of that, do whatever you can to make the most money. To a point, have ethics, but I'm just saying. So let's get some opinions on it.
Let's not talk about debt relief today, because I think we should roll out a program to relieve anybody who took on a financial constraint up to $10,000 on a wholesaling program.
We're going to have a $10,000.
I learned an interesting fact today. I think you would actually really like to know. You want to know it? You're a little nervous to hear it, aren't you? Yeah. You know who has the largest reserve outside of a government agency? Outside of all the kings and all that, who has one of the largest cash reserves? This is in the United States.
Department of Education? Treasury.
Harvard. Almost $50 billion sitting in a bank account.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
And here's the best part, guys. Harvard doesn't pay any taxes.
Yeah, but
$50 billion.
It's a private company. I get cold call.
I know, but that's amazing, man.
I get cold call from the University of Florida once a month about getting them money. I'm like, I already gave you what?
They got $10 billion.
I know, but
they got $10 billion.
It's crazy.
And we talk about people not paying their fair share of taxes.
All right, I'm not going to get into the tax debate, but is simple wholesaling is arbitrage under the contractual terms. The principles are built upon common law in states that try to outlaw it or actually going against fine. Guys, no one's enforcing these laws, because if it ever went to actual court on the Supreme Court, and we already know which way the Supreme Court leans, and I'm saying this non-politically, the Supreme Court has a 6-3 conservative majority, and that is a fact as of today. They are more in terms of a more conservative Supreme Court, and I could be put out of context here, but it's true. They the Supreme Court right now follows more of what the Constitution says versus what modern interpretations might put. And they're pretty much, most of them, and I'm not saying anything else, but they are pretty much literalists when it comes to the Constitution. And then when the Constitution states that no state should pretty much get rid of a person's obligation to create contracts, what do you think they're going to say? So I'm just telling you guys, it's fine. So we got our Outcast vibes. Yes, I had an artist. He spent, I think, $7,000 on this painting. It's custom, freewholesaling.com. Pretty expensive, but I think it was worth it.
Guys, focus on the
let
content.
me know if that was worth it, that painting. But yeah, guys, so let's kind of break down some more things, guys, and let's kind of break down the law.
But I've never heard any type of wholesaler have this conversation. They just we get a negative headline about wholesaling's illegal. Everybody sees the thumbnail, and then they're like, there's never a discussion about U.S. Constitution law and like how states, there's only certain things they can do. It's just like, you really need to avoid it. Go get another license. Go get more approval from another agency. Guys, the deeper you go down that hole, it is not going to fix your wholesaling game. And honestly, it's just going to cause you confusion. You can do what you want. Everybody has a right into it. The NAR doesn't care to make you a legal wholesaler. It's bribery money. And honestly, you're going to have other issues.
So let's talk about this. Let's kind of talk about the states. So let's get into the basically 4 states that have certain laws on the books. We have Illinois, which I truthfully believe is an unconstitutional law. The law in Illinois, and I'm going to tell you what the true law is. It's not a wholesaling law. Everyone thinks it's a wholesaling law. It basically states that you can't you can't write a contract to buy any piece of real estate more than 1 a year unless that person who helps you do it is licensed. That's it. So if I am a business owner, let's say I'm,
that's insane.
All right, no, but here's how the law really works. Okay, do you like Subway? I like Subway. Pub subs are better, but I like Subway.
Jared kind of ruined it for me.
Oh gosh. Okay. So, but here's the thing. So let's say I want to make a Subway. Actually, yeah,
you really did ruin it for me.
Actually, Subway in Chicago is not a good analogy. So we're gonna say McDonald's. Okay. You know what? I worked 65 years at my job. I saved up $500,000 and I'm going to create 2 McDonald's operations. You probably need a lot more money to make them out. Let's say, actually, you know what? Let's say I want to make 2 diners. Okay. I love my mom's cooking. She's a great cook. My wife's a great cook, whatever. I'm 65 and you know what? It's going to be my retirement, right? I'm going to buy 1 piece of real estate. It's going to be my diner.
We should buy a diner.
A nice burger diner.
Is there any diners for sale?
I don't know. I don't know if there's any diners for sale. Hopefully it's a good business. But I'm going to buy a burger joint, a diner, okay? And I'm not going to run this thing to the ground and have to sell it. I'm going to buy a legit, make a good diner. So I'm going to make this diner, and I'm going to agree to buy it. And I find a guy who wants to sell his diner, and someone offered $5,000 to find a buyer, so I go and buy the diner, right?
Yeah.
And I agree, a regular sale. Hey, I want to sell my diner. I want to buy your diner. So I buy it, right? And I'm living my dream. This is my retirement, right?
Yeah.
And guess what? This diner does really good this year. I have $500 more grand. I'm going to buy another diner.
Yeah.
Now, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in the great state of Illinois. It's just such a great state. I find another guy who wants to sell his diner right now, like maybe let's say 5 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is great, right? I agree to. No, it's illegal for me to buy another diner unless a realtor went in that transaction because that's the second diner. That is illegal. Guys, you can't buy more than 1 piece of real estate a year in Illinois without being licensed, which is ridiculous. You can have a realtor do it for you, but that's how the law basically states. So that is how the law honestly is. You can read it whatever way, but that's pretty much how it works. Now, Illinois has never really enforced that law. There is countless examples of people buying more than 1 piece of real estate off market that's not licensed in the state of Illinois. I'm telling you, the prosecutors in Illinois are not going after 65-year-olds trying to buy his second rental property in a year. God, the law is very unconstitutional. It was kind of more of a thing to do. Oh my God. All right. I'm not going to talk about this, Jonathan. A diner gym combo. That sounds great.
What?
I've always
so you can eat greasy food and still work out at the same time?
Haven't we gone to burger joint and say, you know what? I want to get a cook pumping after this. No. All right. But here's the thing. Honestly, a good pump and then a diner, that's actually a good combo. Man. But guys, what I'm telling you is
you're selling the right stuff.
Illinois, it's ridiculous, that law. it's not enforced at all because it's such a ridiculous law that's it's not being enforced. And once someone enforces it and they challenge it with the court, it's going to be overturned. I'm not telling you to go against that law.
Nobody wants to be
but
the
I'm
pawn.
saying nobody's no one wants to be the pawn or the guinea pig for it. Actually, there's plenty of people that do it. It's such a weird law that most people don't know about that.
Yeah.
And people are buying more than 2 properties a year. It's ridiculous. So guys, I'm just letting you know it happens all the time. If I buy a duplex, technically that's illegal.
Yeah.
And people are buying duplexes off market all the time. I actually look, I do my research. So technically that is illegal under law. And there's probably hundreds of duplexes in the state. Illinois is a big state that are being bought with cash every single year off market. That's technically illegal too. Nothing's happening. So I'm just letting you know that's sort of how that law works. I'm just letting you know.
And guys, I'm here to tell you in wholesaling is because we're independent operators, we think way outside the box. You can pass whatever law you want. I will be constantly 4 steps ahead of you. Let me give you a couple examples.
Yeah.
My entire career, I have been challenged on everything. You guys know how I tell you, when you go get your government list, you got to beat resistance with persistence. I got my butt kicked for 3 years and I decided I wasn't going to put up with it anymore. And once they knew I wasn't going away, I got through. I've constantly challenged. You saw, what was it, a year or 2 ago, someone told me, you can't, a corporation can't buy a property in here. Now, I know that violates every law. I go, give me the law, give me the application, and have your president sign it.
What's
2
a
weeks goes by. Yeah,
it's a group of people.
2 weeks go by. I go, listen, there's 7 banks that own property in your development. Are they a corporation? Yeah, well, no, you can't treat me differently.
Well, here's the thing. You can't just, we have laws about discrimination.
Yeah.
Because if you don't let corporations buy something, you got to say, you know what? I don't like the way you look. You can't buy in this neighborhood. That's discrimination.
Well, that's what you start
It's like,
doing.
what's the slippery slope there? So like we've fought it before, guys.
I just did a deal where I physically wasn't allowed because there was some type of restriction. And so we wound up just buying the LLC. That's it. So we just went around the back way. You had to use a bunch of lawyers and stuff, but I got to be honest with you, it wasn't that bad. I was a little bit nervous when I did it, but like you can put all these, like the HOAs can put rules in, states can put rules in, your cities, your counties. I'm here to tell you, if it comes to that, I promise you wholesaling will not disappear. It will just overcome it. I promise you. My entire 20 years, I'm challenged on everything. The only reason is, Zach thinks he's heard a lot. We're talking about constitutional law is like we question and ask things instead of going, oh my God, we can't do this. Let's run over there, get a license, and we'll solve all the problems. No, why don't we challenge it and say, how can you do this if the U.S. Constitution says you can't do it? How can you possibly do it? And nobody wants to have these discussions. Listen, I don't want problems and conflicts. Don't get me wrong. But you got to know when you're getting stepped on, and you guys need it. You will constantly be challenged in the wholesaling space. And you got to know there's sometimes you just got to, I stand up to title companies all day long. I stand up to lawyers all day long. I stand up to county officials all the time. And I'm just telling you, in the beginning, you don't understand it completely. So tuning in with like people, me and Zach, we're the only ones that are going to have an honest conversation about this instead of putting fear in you and go, hey, go run behind this link. Click this link. I'll protect you. Whatever, a course, a brokerage, I don't care. Guys, it's not going to solve any problems. It's still going to be there.
I've been challenged so many times on this. I've been challenged before. Someone said once a quote to me. I'm not going to put anything in context, say who, but I got asked once, challenged hard. And I'm a man of what I believe in.
Yeah.
This is a quote, ready? You're telling me you want wholesalers to run around wholesaling real estate unlicensed with no self-regulation or regulation? I said, yeah, I agree. I agree. As a human being, as an American, you have the right to do whatever you want within the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've been challenged, guys. I put my blood, sweat, and tears. I put it all on the line for this business. You have too.
Yeah.
I've been challenged from every single person in this entire industry trying to change the wholesaling, and I fought it tooth and nail, and we've won.
But
so I'm telling you, we have fought.
Yeah. And you know what the challenge is? People like me, the last 20 years, all the people that have been doing this business 10, 15 years, they did whatever they wanted, right? Whatever they wanted. Like they did it. And honestly, let's think about it. They created a lot of these problems. And now they want to be the voice and tell you, we've got to do a better job. Well, That's not fair that you got the run for 20 years and then you're telling everyone below you, you have to do this, this, and this to comply. Listen, you do have to have an internal code of ethics. I can't make you do it. You can sign whatever document you want. At the end of the day, either you help people or you don't. And honestly, no church can regulate that to you. No politician can. Me and Zach can't. Either you're a good person or you're not. And honestly, I find people getting holes like we have bad apples. There's bad teachers. There's bad cops. It never stops. Yeah. So why do you think our business is going to be any different? So the problem with society is like one person wrecks it for the other people and everybody has to pay the price. And you guys just have to understand your rights and your laws. I'm telling you, don't take this narrative where you've got to comply. I did whatever I wanted for 20 years, but now you have to do it completely different. That's not fair to me. That's very, very hypocritical, and I completely disagree with it. I disagree with friends on this, and I'm never going to waver. You get me on any stage, any live, I'm always going to stick to my core values. Wholesaling should be accessible for everybody. Yes, you should do it honestly and ethically and upfront. We are going to have bad apples. We cannot govern the entire business because someone decided to take a reckless course and do this.
It's ridiculous. So guys, Illinois is fine. Let's talk about Nebraska and Oklahoma. Those are two laws that actually have wholesaling laws on the books, and we'll talk about those. It's very common sense to a point. It's like if somebody makes a law saying that you can't assault somebody, and you can't assault somebody wearing a clown hat. Well, here's the thing. Well, you can't assault somebody. That's pretty much good to go. You can add wearing a clown hat too. That's the way I usually look at it. So don't be a clown in wholesaling. What do I mean by this, guys? Here's the law in Nebraska, Oklahoma, okay? You can't legally in Nebraska and Oklahoma, these two states, you can't publicly market for sale your equitable interest in real estate. And what does that mean? Let's break that down, what that legal definition is. Basically, the person who introduced it, wife is a realtor. So, but what I can tell you is basically how the law works is if I have a property under contract, I can't make a Zillow for sale by owner. I can't make a Facebook post. I can't say, I am selling this piece of real estate. I am selling my equitable interest in this deal. You can't do that in Nebraska and Oklahoma, which is still kind of weird, but I get what they're saying. You can't pretty much pretend to own the piece of real estate. You should disclose that it's an equitable interest, but Nebraska and Oklahoma say you can't publicly market, which means you just can't post the deal on Facebook or pretty much Craigslist or online that I'm selling this deal publicly. That's pretty much how the law works. How do you get around that? It's pretty easy. You already have a list of cash buyers and you privately market. The funniest part is
you vetted.
You don't even have to vet them. You can privately market. You just can't publicly put it online, but you can call 10,000 buyers and that's legal. It's kind of a weird law, but honestly, it's fine, right? It doesn't really change much because I don't publicly market any of my deals. So you're pretty much good to go. I'll just call them, text them, and that's the way you can. Honestly, the law is because you can't. A lot of wholesalers are pretending to be realtors. I have this property for sale. That's stupid. I come on, don't be doing that.
So guys, listen, don't get in the wholesaling to become a realtor. It is a miserable.
A lot of newbies try that.
Well, that's the problem because then you're trying to do all the hard work of the wholesaler. You're cold calling, you're texting, you're door knocking, which is brutally hard. Like I don't pass that up for a minute. I don't take it for granted. And then you're trying to make like $1,000-$2,000, dude. You'd be much better off just committing the wholesaler, make your 10 or 15 grand, get your money, move forward. And here's the really cool thing about wholesaling. You don't have to be a wholesaler forever. If you can dedicate 2 to 3 years to the business, you will have a lifetime of freedom. And the thing is, you will always have the skill set of wholesaling. And once you get an operation up and running, you can have employees work for you. And then you can go on to even bigger and better things, commercial properties, apartment buildings, like whatever you want to do. But honestly, everyone I've ever met that's super successful in real estate, they all have the core principle of wholesaling down. So anybody who tells you, hey, skip wholesaling, I guarantee their solution, you have to pay for it. And honestly, in the end, like, guys, learn wholesaling, master it. I don't care how hard it is. If you want to be in real estate, if you don't understand wholesaling, you're just going to pay a lot more for everything, and you're going to have to wait a long time. You're going to have to wait for appreciation to kick in. Wholesalers never, ever depend on appreciation. We buy at discounts today, and we sell it for today's price. So no matter what happens to the market, you guys hear all this doom and gloom. Like there's two trains of thought. Some people think by the end of this year or springtime, we'll be back to normal. And other people think it's falling off a cliff. In wholesaling, it doesn't matter. Now, if I'm a fix and flip guy, they've all pulled back. Hedge funds have all pulled back. They have to. Why? Because they're betting on where the market's going. Wholesalers never bet on where the market's going. We take advantage of what we have today. This is why it is crash proof, recession proof. It works. So if you have a core business of wholesaling, especially during down market times, you're not exposed to what all the hedge funds are, all the flippers are, all the landlords are. You are completely insulated. And I'm just telling you, if you do it, so the ones that left wholesaling, you're either going to see them go back or they're going to try to do something else, or they're probably going to become a coach. I saw a post yesterday on Facebook. Okay. You can get in trouble. I'm just going to say it. And somebody asked a specialist on coaching is, how many deals should you have done before I can coach?
Oh,
dude,
what are you doing? Oh my!
Scares the heck out of me. Like, listen, when you get to like 1,000, let's talk, because you are a rookie till you get all the way through it, guys. There's so many things out there, and that's the problem. Is these days, as great as we are wholesalers, we get creative, and I just listen. People can do whatever they want. I'm all for it. I just want to clear the confusion on this whole wholesaling thing and give you guys the facts. Stop worrying about this stuff, because I'm telling you, it's so far away. You're worrying about like driving the car and someone's going to come over that yellow line and hit you. I've been driving a long time. I've had a couple close misses, but.
Oh, Lord. But yeah, so that's how Nebraska is. There's an Arizona disclosure law, which is kind of up in the air still. Pretty much it states that you have to pretty much just, I'm going to try to pop that up. Arizona's got a weird law with disclosure. I'll pop it up. I'll get the official wholesaling law. Pretty much you have to disclose to a buyer. Let's see. Hold on, let me write it down. Try to pop it up. Where's track bill? All right, I have it right here. So pretty much. All right, so here it is. Let me get to you. This is the funniest law, because this is a law that doesn't even. This is a law just saying that I did something. I did something. Here's the Arizona law. I think it passed. I'm going to go check if it passed, but I'm pretty sure it passed. Right? Did it? I'll look it up. But pretty much, I'm pretty sure this passed. But this basically says requires a wholesale buyer of residential real property before entering into a binding agreement to provide a disclosure in writing to a seller that the buyer is a wholesale buyer. Stipulates. Let's see. Can you guys see this? Yeah. Oops. Where's the cursor? All right. Basically stipulates a wholesale buyer violates the disclosure requirement. The seller may cancel the contract at any time prior to the close of escrow without penalty and may return earnest money paid by wholesale buyer. Requires a wholesale seller of residential real estate property before entering into a binding agreement to provide a disclosure in writing to the buyer that the seller is a wholesale seller who holds an equitable interest in the property, and the seller may not be able to convey title to the property. Which, interesting, right? 4 stipulates if a wholesale seller violates the disclosure requirement, the buyer may cancel the contract for the sale at any time and may retain the EMD paid by the buyer. Defines residential real property as fewer than 5 dwelling units. Okay. Defines wholesale buyer as a person or entity who enters into a purchase contract or residential real estate as a buyer and assigns that same contract to another person or entity. Defines wholesale seller as a person or entity that enters into a purchase or contract for residential as a seller that does not hold legal title to the real property and assigns the same contract to another person or entity. And that's pretty much it. Right? Yeah, that's pretty much it to a point here. There's amendments and stuff. But here's the thing. Let's go back to definition of a wholesale buyer. A person that enters into a contract for real estate as the buyer and assigns it. Here's the thing. If you are a regular buyer that buys real estate and then decides to assign it, it's that law is all about one thing, and it's an intent, right?
Yeah.
When I go and agree to purchase a piece of real estate, my intent is to buy it. There might be something that comes up on the deal that makes me want to wholesale it, right? But it's all about intent to a point. If I'm intending to buy it and then I assign it, theoretically, I didn't need that disclosure because I was actually a real buyer at that point. Then I decided to sell it. It's very funny because the way the law works wants to be like, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm wholesaling your deal. Here's a legal disclaimer saying that I'm wholesaling it.
Yeah.
That's technically how that law works. But guess what? Hey, I'm looking to buy your house. I want to buy your house. A month later. And now I signed it because I don't want to buy it anymore. But my intent to start out was to buy it, but you lied about something or whatever. And, the law is pretty much unenforceable. It's kind of funny how the way it's written, but it's counterintuitive to what it says. So it's like, and honestly, every state approved contract with the Realtors Association and the lawyers all have the ability for assignability. So it technically any contract that's marked assignable, a realtor would have to disclose possibly that it could be wholesale because it's assignment. They're defining anything that's assignment as a wholesale. So this could go you could do this both ways. It's absolutely utterly ridiculous. They have to make it so open because the thing about contracts, it's weird because if you're intending to buy it or wholesale, you don't know what you're going to do with it yet. It's all up in the air.
Yeah.
And now, if someone can prove that your intent was to wholesale it from the beginning, sure, I guess. But really, if you leave it up in the air that you are actually intending on buying it, you're pretty much fine to go. It's really funny the way they do that because it's theoretically, you would any person that tries to buy a piece of real estate would have to give that disclosure every property in Arizona because you would have if you decide in the future to assign it.
Yeah.
Which this is a shocker to many people, but when we sell properties on the MLS, which is the greatest thing on the earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get assignment of contracts all the time on them. All the time, right?
Yeah.
It gets assigned to different corporations. The problem is Arizona does that too. But here's the thing. Their intent was to buy it up front and then they decided to assign it to their partner. Yeah. That's fine with this law. So they made it open. They made it loopholes because they didn't really want to do anything. They wanted to act like they did something, but it's so funny the way they do it. It's hilarious. So guys, yes, it's like,
but the thing is, a lot of people are saying, okay, well, now we have to put all these disclosures. And I'm like, okay, the problem is we're going to wind up like realtors. That's why they have 20 page plus contracts.
Yeah.
So if I have 4 pages, the reality is you guys know, okay, what's it going to say on the top? I'm a licensed real estate agent. I'm a licensed real estate broker. I am considered a wholesaler. I'm going to make a profit from you. You let me know you're legally, you're of sound mind to sign it. The disclosures get so long. It's like, have you ever read a mortgage? Have you read that? It's like 50 pages. I went and opened up a bank account yesterday and they printed out a disclosure, 72 pages. Right. We killed more trees doing this. I go, do I need to read this? He goes, nobody reads it. And that's what we're all going to wind up. So whenever they try to enforce this, we're just going to come up with these generic boilerplates and people aren't going to read it and they're going to sign it. And guess what they're going to say? Well, I never really read it, so it's not enforceable anyways.
That's the thing. So just understand that it's kind of funny.
It's absolutely crazy. Somebody said on there she had.
Yeah. Which one do you want?
I think it's to the top. Someone said they were offered $10K for a wholesaling course.
Yeah, we can talk about that after.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
let's finish this up.
Let's finish this up really quick. So here's the last law. This is the DNC law, right?
Uh-oh.
So yes, there are laws outside of wholesaling real estate about DNC laws, TCPA, which is the Telephone Communication Protections Act of 1991 or 2, one of those years. And basically, there's laws about telemarketing and cold calling and stuff like that. So let's talk about DNC law because that's an interesting one too, right? So these are TCPA rules more or less. So when you're cold calling, there are laws with cold calling. That's pretty much for every cold caller. So let's kind of talk about what they are. So this is the Telephone Communication Protections Act. You got all that legal stuff for everyone if they want to go really into the thick of it. But basically, you can't have an automatic telephone dialing system with equipment because it was built in the 90s, right? They don't really know about software. Pretty much this is the law if you really want to really read it. More or less, it creates the DNC list. It creates all these really fun laws. More or less, you can't cold call, I think, before 8 a.m. or after 9. It should be on here, though, local time. But this is pretty much the entire law. Let's see here. Oh, they updated in 2005. Telemarketing, rule marketing. All right, actually, how many pages is this? Is actually okay? It's a lot more pages than I thought. But we'll look up TCPA time restriction. Pretty much, you got to know it's 4 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. On the call party's local time, which that is a weird one because you don't even know what the person's local time is. So that's kind of funny. But that is how that works. Because if someone has an area code local to you, but if they're living in, Hawaii, that could cause some issues too. But that's still up in the air. There's usually a $500 fine for breaking TCPA law. And the TCPA creates a do not call list. And this is where the most heated, contested law, I always get asked about TCPA and how it works, right? The DNC list. Can you call the DNC list? Well, let's talk about the DNC list. Let's talk about how the DNC list. So let's go to the do not call registry and kind of read what it says. So let's make this bigger. Where is it? This is how the FCC defines the do not call list. The Do Not Call Implementation Act authorizes the FTC to collect fees for the implementation and enforcement of the Do Not Call Registry Public Law number 10882. I'm just reading you guys the law because I want you guys to actually know what the law means. Authorizes the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, under Section 3A of the Telemarketing and Consumer Fraud and Abuse Prevention Act, to implement and enforce the DNC registry. Ratified, blah, 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 blah. The DNC specifies registration fees, and basically how it works is it revises reporting requirements in the Telemarketing and Consumer Fraud and Abuse Act. Pretty much how the law works is DN list. You cannot call somebody on the DNC list for telemarketing. That is how the law works. So let's see. DNC rules right here. The law. It basically helps telemarketers operate basically on it. Let's see. Political calls to nonprofits and charities are exempt from it. But pretty much calls are permitted. Let's see. Let's do the DNC rules because it has DNC list rules. It has the definition of it. It's illegal for telemarketers to call a number listed on the DNC registry. So that is what the law basically states on there. Now let's look at the definition of telemarketing. Now this is when things get weird because should I call the DNC list? Oh, I'm telemarketing. I can't. Let's go to the FCC definition of telemarketing. Basically how the telemarketing rules are, be section 10 here. So, oh my gosh. All right. Bear with me. This is section 10, so this should be easier. Where's 10? I got to go all the way down here for 10. But let's get the actual rules. 7, 5. All right, here. The term telemarketing. Okay. Let's, where is it? The term telemarketing means the initiation of a telephone call or message for the purpose of encouraging the purchase of real estate or investment in property, goods, or services, which is transmitted to any person. This seems like pretty common, right? But here's the thing. If I'm calling somebody, let's kind of go through the rules here, right? Hey, Mr. Person, I'm encouraging you to purchase a rental. I'm encouraging you to purchase or invest in this property or good. The purchase of. Does this promote, is this the encouragement of selling a property? No, you're not, right? Mm-hmm. You're encouraging somebody to purchase something. Telemarketing basically states you cannot encourage somebody to buy something or invest in something. When somebody sells their property, they're not investing, they're selling it, right?
Yeah.
As of today, with the DNC list, I don't care whoever legal schmeagle person says, but most telemarketers want you to buy something, not sell, right? They never do. They're always buy this, buy this, buy this, right? Never to sell. So when they made the law of DNC, they're like, no one's ever going to want to encourage somebody to sell their thing, right? No, right? And so that is why for most wholesalers who interpret it, they're pretty much fine cold calling the DNC list. It's up in the air. Talk to a lawyer. But if you're inquiring somebody to sell their piece of real estate, if you're looking to sell it, you're pretty much fine to go. Like it's very interesting the way they do it. Why do you think realtors can cold call legally the for sale by owner list?
Well,
They're selling their piece of real estate.
Correct.
And they're basically putting their phone number out there.
Put their phone number out there.
Legally, though, you can't telemarket that person for a listing, theoretically, if they're on the DNC list, but they don't get in legal problems because, first of all, they're selling their property. Yeah. They're selling something, they're not encouraging the buying of. So just, guys, understand this is how the DNC law states. So you make the decision for yourself, but pretty much you're legally fine wholesaling a lot of these lists.
I can't take another legal document.
No, but here's the thing. I made this for the people.
I get it.
That want to actually know how the law works, because I see gurus say you can't call the DNC list, and they're like, because I said so. That drives me crazy. So
guys, read the stuff that's written, and honestly, you have to kind of make your own interpretation. Yeah. A lawyer will always give you one. And keep in mind, more than half of them are wrong. It depends on which side of the argument they want to be on. So
I can find one legal argument and find a lawyer that's pro and a lawyer that's against it, and they go forever. So that's why they need judges.
50% are wrong every day, right? They got to be, otherwise.
I know. So here's the thing. Neo Jason's got a really good point here, and I want you to answer this. This is hilarious to me. I heard someone's trying to get rid of double closings. You pretty much can't stop somebody from double closing. Am I correct?
Yeah, you can't. So. And Jason, like there's no bad question here, so I'm not picking on you. I actually enjoy your questions.
It's great ones.
When the problem with your statement, and this is a teaching moment, is when you put the word "I hear," there's no credibility to it.
That's true.
You have it's not you, but it's like whoever tells you. Did the internet tell you that? So guys, when you guys know how gossip works. Like, oh, I heard so-and-so is
wholesaling's illegal.
I heard so, and then it just rips and is viral. You can take one piece of negative news and it will spread like wildfire.
I heard that Rick Zach can bench 500 pounds.
That's true. That's true.
It's like
my shoulders can't, but
I heard.
But like Jason, so it's not a bad question, but whenever someone tells you, I hear, or someone told me, or I tried that, you have to you just can't use that as your compass and your guiding, because I can take all day long. You know how many people post on forums on social media and they go, I tried direct mail and I failed at it. It's terrible. It's a terrible investment. And then so many people take that as rule of God. And dude, I've been doing it 20 years. Probably one of the greatest techniques I've ever used. It's just, I've been doing it 20 years. But I'm only one person that can voice my opinion. So be very careful what information you take and you make it law in your belief system, because it will misguide you. We are so misguided. And we have to understand, when it comes to wholesaling, try to get facts. So when people talk about illegal wholesaling, get statutes number. Ask them the name of the bill. If they stumble on the name of the bill, how much work did they really research it for you, right?
Yeah, here's the thing.
He or she is just researching the solution they want to sell you to fix it. And that's the problem. So the minute they go, well, it's illegal to wholesale in Illinois and this is how you fix it. Go, hey, what's that bill? When did it pass? Can you read it out loud for me? Oh, I don't have that information.
So let's talk about this. This is kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
Oh, double.
But Jason, good question.
It's a great question, but let's play devil's advocate. Ready? Let's make it illegal to double close. You know what? I think double closings are so bad.
Yeah.
All right, let's write this law. So what's a double closing again? You're buying a property and then you're selling it. You know what? All right. We're going to make it illegal for people to buy houses and then sell them. Yes. That's how we do it. No, guys.
It's physically impossible to do it.
Double closings. You'll either have to do an Illinois thing, which technically is not legal, and they can't really enforce that. So what you have to do is you have to make it illegal for somebody to buy and sell a piece of real estate. And that is sort of funny because I'm pretty sure outside of certain countries that you actually can't even own any property. You can buy and sell real. Double closing to a core is you are buying something and then you are selling it. It doesn't matter what the time is in between. It's fine.
So guys, remember I always talk about like to find the right title company. I'm not telling you to cherry pick. I don't want a title company to do anything that's not ethical or legal.
He says the title company won't do it.
Title companies will pass rules and they'll make ridiculous assumptions. Let me give an example. When I was flipping short sales back in 2009, 10, I had a title company tell me I had an approved short sale. I had all the paperwork, no restrictions. And the title company told me, we're not comfortable until you wait at least 30 days. I was furious. And then I learned, I've got to find title companies that understand. I don't need a title company to interpret the law. I just need them to follow it. And so they do pass policies. Guys, you're going to see this. A lot of title companies, they don't want to do assignments because they're uncomfortable with it. Don't do business with them. Don't let a title company's rules and opinions govern your wholesaling business. Go find people that will follow the law and get away from these companies that are restricting you.
I do want to pop up a comment and a question. So I will say this from Gary. Gary, so Gary is in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And Gary says, I had to stop wholesaling, could not find properties at below market value with enough meat on the bone to justify. Seems like corporations are overpaying and squeezing the individual and small operations. Any suggestions? Gary, I have over 100,000 reasons why Port St. Lucie last month was very profitable for us. Yeah. And I'm not going to call myself a big corporation because I don't think we really are. Guys, we run a 6-figure a month wholesaling real estate operation in Port St. Lucie. Gary,
I've been doing this 20 years, Gary. I've had so many deals.
I'm saying this respectfully.
Yeah.
It's not you. Sorry, it's not wholesaling, it's you. It's
you're looking, because remember, if you do wholesaling right, you're technically not competing with anyone except yourself. Really, because if you're buying off-market properties, how are you going to be beat by corporations? All you have to do is learn how to pull the correct list, do the right marketing channel, talk to sellers.
He's in Orlando. Okay. This is actually worse because I know 4 wholesalers in Orlando doing over 100K a month. So that's actually worse. Okay.
Dude, Broward, Dade, Palm Beach. Dude, it's so much worse than for the South Orlando, and we still do them.
100K a month in basically the Orlando region. And they do some in Brevard too, because they're kind of already up there. Guys.
So Gary, hop on a live. And if you want to talk about it,
we can talk.
We'll break down your marketing. And honestly, I'm here to help you. I don't look at anyone as competition because everybody comes to my backyard thinking, oh, well, if Rick can do, I can knock it out. And they come, they go, some stay, some leave. The reality is if you consistently wholesale and consistently market, you will do it 20 years plus, just like I have.
But I'll break this down. Anyone is invited to hop on here and tell me why wholesaling is not working for them. But I will give you this disclosure. We will personally help you.
Yeah.
Here's the issue. This is why probably I'm not the nicest person for this. And this is why probably I can't sell courses, right? I'm going to tell you the honest truth of why you're not being successful right now. You might not like it. It might not be sweet or nice or the sweetest, most caring thing, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. Okay. If you come to me and you say wholesaling doesn't work and you have not cold called 500 sellers, I will literally say, well, do that and then come back to me. And I'm saying that truthfully.